As rumors spread that two of the biggest stars in love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and Yonge, were arrested after a violent altercation that broke out on set. Yes, what was supposed to be just another routine shoot turned into a full-blown brawl that ended in handcuffs. The entire reality TV world is in meltdown mode, and the entire internet is reeling. Videos are leaking, and fans are left stunned. Fans are left wondering what caused this explosive showdown. Was it a personal betrayal, a business fallout, or something deeper? More importantly, what does it mean for the show's future? Stay tuned because this is just the beginning, and the details will leave you shocked under a tense overcast sky. For weeks behind the scenes, but no one anticipated this, according to production sources. What began as a heated verbal exchange quickly turned physical, and within minutes chaos unfolded right in front of the cameras, with screaming, pushing, security scrambling, and sirens. It appeared that everything was going according to plan on what was supposed to be a typical day of filming for the newest season of Love and Hip Hop, with producers barking orders, crew setting up lights, and cast members arriving on time. However, underneath the surface, there was an unspoken tension between Kirk Frost and Young Chalk. They exchanged glances, curt nods, and hardly any words for those on set long enough to read the room. It was clear that something wasn't right. Production insiders claimed that Kirk and Jock had been avoiding each other for weeks behind the scenes, and whispers suggested that the fallout started over a business deal gone wrong. Kirk had reportedly made some side moves involving a club promotion that Jock thought he was supposed to be a part of, but Kirk allegedly abruptly stopped Jock from participating, and Jock wasn't going to let that go. Everything had been building up to this point, and when the director yelled, "Action!" it was like setting off a fire. Kirk and Jock were both supposed to film a casual scene at a lounge-style set where the cast were supposed to discuss upcoming ventures. Jock arrived late, his expression unreadable, and sat directly across from Kirk. At first, they didn't. In an attempt to calm Kirk, Rashida, who was sitting next to him, instinctively reached for his arm. Kirk was unmoved and repeated the line, this time louder, "You're acting like you run things when you don't even own your name." Gasps reverberated throughout the set as Jock slowly stood up. "You're really brave today, Kirk," he said, his voice rising. "Really brave for someone who's been ducking me for 3 weeks. There's nobody ducking you." Kirk fired back. "Just don't deal with clowns." In a matter of seconds, chairs began to scrape the floor as the two men confronted each other. Security hurried in, but the Jock shoved Kirk first, sending him stumbling back a few steps. Kirk quickly recovered and lunged forward, his fists swinging. The cameras were still rolling as chaos broke out, and the crew tried to intervene, but the fight was intense, with furniture toppling and fists flying. Even the other cast members were shocked and frozen at first, jumping in to try to separate the two. Rasiva screamed Kirk's name repeatedly, her voice almost drowned out by the commotion. Producers were immediately called, and Scott wasn't even on set at the time. Scuffle that had turned into a full-fledged brawl, and to make matters worse, one of the camera crew continued to record, capturing every second of the altercation in crisp video. One producer even muttered, "This is going to break the internet." However, things got out of control in the midst of the commotion, and Jock reportedly threw a punch that unintentionally struck a security guard. The network realized that things had gone too far when, within 20 minutes, law enforcement arrived and police entered the building as Kirk and Jock were still being restrained in opposite corners of the set. Both of them appeared bruised and angry. Officers took witness statements, requested video, and started separating those involved. Kirk yelled something at Jock as officers released him, saying, "You finished, bro. You're done in this industry." Jock's expression said everything was not over, but as word spread outside the set, social media exploded. A short, 6-second clip of Kirk swinging first appeared on Believe It, this was scripted at first. One user commented, but others said it was too raw to be fake. Within an hour, the video had over 1 million views on blogs. A headline read, "Tennis posted a blurry photo of both men being led away in cuffs." Commenters were viciously arguing who was right, who started it, and what it meant for the future of the show. Meanwhile, Rashida was seen outside the station looking visibly upset, according to sources who said she was yelling at producers, demanding answers, and threatening to. This was supposed to be a business scene, she allegedly stated, and if Kirk wasn't released right away, walk off the show. Not a damn war zone. Once inside, Kirk sat in an interrogation room with his face tense and his knuckles bruised. When the police asked him to describe what had happened, he repeated the same story, saying that he felt threatened and that Jock had provoked him and that he had acted in self-defense. However, given the video that showed the two men fighting, it appeared likely that Jock was in a separate room tending to a swollen eye and a busted lip when asked for his account. Later, he chuckled cruelly and asked Kirk why he had been so afraid to confront me like a man these last few weeks. Kirk said, all of this could have been handled off camera. Following a briefing, Mona Scott gave a private statement to the network saying, "This is not what we represent. We want drama, yes, but not violence, not arrests." She told the team to halt all shooting indefinitely while the situation was assessed. But there were rumors that she might use the footage to increase ratings behind closed doors. Some crew members claimed she was already talking about how to spin the story, for one producer allegedly said, "As long as no one sues," indicating that maximal engagement is gold. Meanwhile, Kirk and Jock were detained overnight, and mugshots started to go viral online, leading fans to wonder if their favorite reality stars had finally crossed a line they couldn't escape. When morning arrived, the streets outside the station were crowded with paparazzi, and fans demanded to know what actually caused the altercation, who threw the first punch, and most importantly, would Kirk and Jock face consequences, or was this just a hiccup? To be released on bond, his phone buzzed with a message from a blocked number that said, "You think that was bad? Wait until you see what's coming next." His face turned pale, and that's where part 1 ends. The message on Kirk's phone sent a chill down his spine as he sat quietly in the back of the police station, his hands still sore, his mind spinning from the events of the past 24 hours. He couldn't stop staring at that cryptic text. "You think that was bad? Wait until you see what happens next." He didn't recognize the number. It was blocked as anonymous, but the threat was obvious. Someone wasn't done, and Kirk didn't know who it was or what they were planning. Meanwhile, across town, young Jock was sitting in the backseat of a black Seb, and his manager was driving him away from the station. When he eventually made bail, his face was bruised, his jaw hurt, and his phone kept buzzing with calls and texts, all of which were from when his manager asked quietly, "You want to go home?" Jock shook his head and said, "No, take me to the studio. I have something to get off my chest." By mid-morning, both Kirk and Jock were trending on all social media platforms. Jock ignored most of the reporters, fans, and people who pretended to care. In the editing bay of the Love and Hip Hop production studio, a low-level assistant named Trey had been quietly watching the raw footage. His job was to catalog and label scenes for the editors, but when he stumbled upon an uncut clip that hadn't yet been secured by producers, he hesitated. The leaked video now had over 5 million views on Twitter, and the top hashtag was #Kirk'sJock. Fans were divided, with some blaming Kirk, others supporting Jock, and many simply shocked that things had reached that point. Before the fight, Kirk and a producer were speaking in private, not realizing the microphone was still hot. In the video, Kirk was heard saying, "I told Mona I won't be filming with Job anymore. He's reckless, he's sloppy, and he thinks this show can't run without him." The producer said, "Are you sure you want to go that route? That'll piss him off." Kirk replied, "Let him be pissed. I've got dirt on him that'll finish him off if he tries me." Trey sat motionless, his heart pounding. He knew that if he shared this, he would lose his job, but it would also reveal a whole new level of drama. In the world of viral content, timing was everything. 3 hours later, the video went viral online, revealing that Kirk had been preparing to sever his relationship with Jock prior to the fight. Not only that, but it also showed that Kirk was sitting on some sort of secret Twitter account, which was exploding with theories about what dirt Kirk had on Jock. Did Kirk start the fight on goal? This show is getting more bizarre every day. When Jock saw the studio clip, he almost knocked over his microphone in shock. He muttered, "No, I'm not letting this slide." He called his manager, put my lawyer on the phone, and told Mono, "We need to talk to Mona Scott. Figure out how to turn it into a ratings win without going against the law." Kirk arrived first. Mona gave him a hug to cover up the swelling around his eye, and he didn't return her embrace. "What's going on, Kirk?" she asked gently. "You tell me," he said. "Why is footage leaking from your studio? Who's playing games?" "We're handling it internally," she assured him. "But I need to know what this is about you having dirt on Jock Kirk." He hesitated, then leaned in. "I got receipts, text messages, deals he made behind the scenes trying to get me off the show." "He'd been moving foul," Mona said. Kirk, who has always been personal, snapped hours later. In contrast to Kirk, who came in loud, animated, and prepared to argue verbally, Jock's demands were, "You knew he was trying to play me." Mona raised her hands, saying, "Jock, I didn't know about the messages. I didn't know he was planning anything. I just want to fix this before the network pulls the plug." The following day, a new video surfaced online, this time from Jock's own verified Instagram account. It was a selfie taken in his studio. "Let me make one thing clear," he started. "I didn't start that fight. I didn't want that fight, but I am not a punk, and I am not going to let someone throw dirt on my name without clapping back. No, we aren't fixing anything until I get to tell my side. Maybe it's time for me to share what I know," he said, pausing abruptly, since Kirk wants to talk about dirt. That last line sent fans into a frenzy. Thousands flooded the comments waiting for details. Hashtags like #SpillFit and #JexRevenge began trending, and for the first time in days, Jock was winning the public support battle. Kirk, seeing the tide shift, called Rashida into his home studio. She had barely spoken to him since the arrest. Her face was still tight with disappointment. "I need you to stand with me on this," Kirk told her. "Stand with you? You nearly destroyed your entire career over a small quarrel," she said. "It wouldn't be a sympathy if he had been attempting to have me fired." Rashida shook her head, saying, "You must fix it for us, not the cameras." As Kirk and Rashida quarreled behind closed doors, the network's external strain continued to rise. Mona was walking a tightrope, trying to balance the chaos with the promise of sky-high ratings while advertisers demanded answers and threatened to withhold funding if violence continued to dominate headlines. Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any messier, Kirk received another anonymous message on his phone. This time, it was a video file, which Kirk opened with shaking hands. The clip showed him months earlier in a private conversation with the unidentified woman. The audio was hazy, but it was clear enough to hear him say, "I don't care what the contract says. I'll find a way to cut Jock out. He's dead. Wait." Back at Jock's studio, he got a box with no return address containing a U.S. drive and a message that stated, "You're not the only one Kirk betrayed." Kirk's face turned white once again as someone was sitting on a full vault of harmful material and leaking it piece by piece. As part 2 came to a close, Kirk and Jock realized they were no longer just fighting each other, but were also fighting someone in the shadows. Jock plugged in the drive-in and watched in disbelief as the video played, this time showing Kirk in meetings with his network ex, urging that Jock's scenes be cut. Kirk paced back and forth in his living room, the video still playing in the background, his own voice echoing through the speakers like a ghost from the past, each word and sentence a reminder that someone had been watching him, recording him, setting him up, and now the world was watching too. His phone buzzed again, this time for a notification that another video had just dropped, but this time it was about Rashida, and Kirk's eyes widened as he realized that no one knew who wanted them both to crash and burn, and worse, they still don't know who it is. He tapped the device. The video was blurry and taken from a distance, but it was clear that Rashida and the person were having a tearful chat. Kirk didn't recognize the man, but he reached out and touched her arm, soothing her as she sobbed. The caption said, "Is Rashida looking for solace from someone new?" As Jock looked blankly at the data on the U.S. drive, Kirk felt the blood drain from his cheeks. He knew Rashida had been aloof recently, but was either genuine or just another move in whatever perverse game was being played at the moment. As he went through folders marked with names, dates, and even episode, one file, Jock_confession room, caught his eye, and when he clicked it, the screen displayed an old clip of him sitting in the confessional chair and speaking to a producer. He recalled that day when he nearly quit the show following a furious argument with another cast member. In the video, he said something he never imagined would be seen. "If Kirk continues to irritate me, I'm going to end this show." Snap, and if I don't act surprised, the Jock sat back in shock that the clip taken out of context would make him look like the aggressor. It painted a picture that someone could easily twist to destroy his image, and whoever leaked the fight video obviously had no problem releasing whatever served their agenda. He was pulled from his reverie by a knock at the door, which said, "We got a problem." His lawyer said, "The network's lawyers are reviewing all the footage. They're trying to figure out if they can drop both of you from the show." "What they can't do is that we are the show," she said, "but they're under pressure from advertisers pulling out, and the board wants this mess cleaned up quickly," while Mona, Scott was on a conference call with the network. Although her voice was composed, she was furious that the chaos had gotten out of control and that she detested the fact that we could fix it. She insisted that we present it as a redemption story, with Kirk and Jock working through their problems. Fans love a comeback, but the exec on the line wasn't convinced that they had attacked each other on camera, which isn't just bad press and is a liability. "Give me a week," Mona said. Mona contacted Trey, the assistant editor who leaked the information, after the conversation concluded. She wasn't certain it was him in the first video, but she had a strong feeling he was involved. "I need you to find out who has the rest of the footage," she stated coolly, "and if it's you, now's the time to come clean." Later that night, Kirk finally confronted Rashida, asking, "What's this video going around?" holding out his phone. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You think this is a game? Careers are on the line. You want to be next." Trey remained silent. Her eyes narrowed as she said, "You really think I'm messing around behind your back?" "I don't know what to think anymore." Kirk answered, "First the fight, now this. I don't even know who's pulling the strings." Rashid sighed, "That man is a therapist, and I went to him because I needed someone to talk to who isn't in this toxic circle. You should have told me like you told me about plotting." He shrugged, "Depends on what video you've seen today." She sat next to him. "You know this whole thing feels bigger than you and Kirk. Someone's trying to tear this whole show down." "Yeah," he said, "and I think I know who pulled out the US drive. That was sent to me anonymously, but there's only one person who would know all this stuff. He's been off the show for a while, and after that fallout with Mona, he's been gone. He knows the ins and outs, the dirt, and the secrets. What if he's trying to blow it all up?" But why did Carly ask for revenge exposure? Perhaps both of them, back at Mama's office, received an email with the subject line, "You thought you could play God with people's lives. Now watch it all." A video of her years ago having a heated argument with Kirk and another producer was attached. In the clip, she can be heard saying, "Drama sells. If they hit each other, so what?" We cut it out, add some sound effects, and watch the numbers climb. Mona's heart broke because she knew that if the video leaked, it would ruin her. She picked up her phone and called Kirk, who agreed that they needed to meet at midnight in a private back room of a club where they used to shoot. However, before the meeting, Kirk got another message, but this time it was different. It was a still photo from the club security camera that showed Kirk waiting alone with a shadowy figure behind him. Kirk caught his breath when he saw that the figure was too familiar, so he called Jock right away. "We're not enemies, man," Kirk said. "We're being played." Jock paused, then replied, "I know." Jock arrived at the club first, standing by the bar and scanning the dimly lit room, every shadow making him uneasy. The two locked eyes and exchanged a cool. They moved to the back room, where Mona was already waiting, pacing like a storm ready to break. She didn't say hello or smile, but instead looked up and said, "You two have officially become liabilities. I've been doing damage control all day, and if this mess gets worse, the network won't just fire you, they'll blacklist you." Kirk leaned against the wall, arms crossed, thinking that we don't realize that someone is trying to ruin all of us. This isn't just about the fight anymore. Mona looked doubtful until Jock arrived and put the US drive on the table between them. "Watch this," he said simply. Plugged it into her laptop, and as the files opened, her face changed from shock and confusion to a flicker of fear. She went through folders full of unreleased scandals, confessional tapes, and unseen footage, and she turned to Jack and Kirk. "Where did you get this?" Kirk asked. "Someone sent it to him anonymously, but we think it's Stevie J." Mama's expression went cold. "Stevie wouldn't dare." Jock shook his head, saying that he disappeared for a reason and that he had been quiet for a long time. Perhaps he had been gathering all of it while we were out here fighting for scraps. Before Mona could react, her phone buzzed, so she picked it up and went pale. Another video had been leaked, in which Mona told a producer to stage a fake arrest scene involving Kirk and Jock to increase ratings. Her voice on the video made it look really enough to go viral. The leak had hit a major gossip block, and the comment section was already exploding. Fans were accusing Kirk of buzzing his phone as well, accusing him of fabricating the fight and manipulating the audience with the story. Was going out of control. Mona slammed her laptop shut and said, "We need to get ahead of this and do an interview and a press release." Something got interrupted by a Jock. "No, not this time. Every time we lie to cover up another lie, we dig deeper. We need to find whoever's behind and stop them before they leak something we can't come back from." Kirk nodded in agreement. "They're coming after us piece by piece. First the fight, then Rashida, now you." "Who's next?" Mama, aside from the weight of it all crashing down on her, then we find Stivy. If he's behind this, we end it tonight. Smiling, the mysterious sender watched the chaos unfold online, each notification serving as a reminder that their plan was working. They clicked on another video file, this one called Jock_Kirk's secret meeting, which showed the exact conversation taking place at the club right now, captured by a hidden camera placed in the room. The figure smirked, asking, "What do you want, Benzino?" Lean back, arms crossed, retaliation, but not just for me, but for everyone you left behind. You believe you're the kings of this franchise, the untouchables, but you're just the latest clowns in... I've got hundreds of hours, and the press is hungry, Benzino said, but this is just a preview. A never-ending circus jock stepped forward, his voice shaking with anger. You almost ruined our lives, leaked our private convos, set us up, and turned everyone against us. Benzino raised an eyebrow almost before tapping the key on the laptop with the warehouse's screens flickering to life and showing footage of Kirk arguing with Rashida about cheating rumors and Jock in a screaming match with his ex, Mona, planning cast firings behind closed doors. Kurt's fists clenched as he asked, "What's your price?" Benzino laughed. "I don't want money, I want exposure. I want the world to see the truth. I want to watch everything you built burn." Jockey stepped closer, "And you think people will believe a disgraced ex-cast member over us?" Zeno's smile didn't go away as he said, "I don't need to convince anyone. The chaos speaks for itself." Just then, Mona's voice echoed through a hidden speaker. "He's bluffing," she said. She had hacked into the feed through her phone. "I traced the server." Benzino's eyes widened as he hurried to the laptop, typing frantically. Kirk and Jock moved in, saying, "It's over." Mona had tipped off. The police and authorities were just minutes away, and Benzino didn't fight back. Instead, he just sat there as officers surrounded the building. Kirk and Jock went outside, the early morning sun casting long shadows behind them. "We survived," Jock whispered, and Kirk barely nodded, but the battle wasn't over even though the main files were gone. The internet never forgets, and pieces of the videos remained on fan pages, gossip blogs, and dubious forums. Their reputations were still in doubt. Outlet where they shared their side of the story. Kirk talked candidly about the pressure of fame, the manipulation from producers, and how they had lost themselves chasing ratings. Jock revealed his regrets, his temper, and his blindness to the bigger picture. The interview went viral, and fans were split on whether to praise or accuse them of spinning the story. But one thing was certain, they weren't going down without a fight. Over the coming weeks, Mona launched a new digital series called Reality Unfiltered, which gave cast members a platform to share their genuine and unedited stories. Kirk and Jock became regulars, opening up in ways the audience had never seen before. Overwhelming for the first time in years, fans saw them as real people, not just characters. Behind the scenes, Menino was charged with a number of crimes, including cybercrime, blackmail, and illegal surveillance, and even though he claimed to have acted alone, there were rumors that others were involved. Some speculated that former producers, bitter ex-cast members, and even rival networks had supported him, but nothing was proven and the mystery remained partially unsolved, adding even more intrigue to the already crazy story. Kirk and Jock took a break from filming to focus on family healing and rebuilding, and Kirk spent time with Rashida going to therapy and trying to rebuilding what was left of their relationship. Jock reconnected with his children, and they both promised to be more present. The scandal gradually stopped making headlines, but the experience changed them. They stopped being obsessed with fame and began talking about creating their own content, real content, something genuine, a project that gave back to the community instead of tearing it apart. Mona surprisingly supported the idea, perhaps out of guilt or because she saw a new business opportunity, but they started planning something new, something honest, and occasionally Kirk would receive a message from him. This time, Kirk wasn't scared. He and Jock had faced the worst, lost everything, and still stood. No matter what happened next, another scandal, another leak, another betrayal, they were prepared to tell their own story their own way. And this time they were in control. Just like that, what began as a simple backstage argument between Kirk Frost and young Jay turned into one of the most shocking and chaotic scandals reality TV has ever seen. There were no words, just an emoji or a blurry screenshot that served as a reminder that the past never truly goes away. The arrest, the confession, the confrontation with Benzino. All of this played out like a movie, but for Kirk and Jock, this was real life, and even though they survived the storm, the scars it left behind might never completely go away. However, the real question is whether Kirk and Jock truly redeemed themselves, or if this was just another calculated move in the reality TV game. What about Benzino? Was he a villain or just another victim of a toxic system based on fame and ratings? We want to know if you think Kirk and Jakku deserve another chance, if reality TV should finally change the way it handles drama and real lives, or if this is just the way things are. You are welcome to share your thoughts in the comments section below. We're reading everything. If you were taken aback by the turns, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more explosive updates, behind-the-scenes stories, and the real tea on your favorite stars. We promise that what comes next will leave you at a loss for words. Lengthy, and the next controversy is always just a camera angle away. So keep an eye out, be interested, and, as always, be messy.